cannot wait for us to get past this, because how do you go over a particular problem over and over again? You're not tired of it.
Well, it's unfortunate. Education is very important, and we cannot overemphasize the importance of education. The lingering issues between ASU and the federal government is a reminder of the disconnect between our leaders and the citizens, prioritizing education. When you look at the budgetary allocation for education, it is quite poor. Looking at it from the total GDP, that reminds us of the fact that our leaders are not still getting the message that education is very important and we cannot joke with it. It is the lifeblood of our economy, of our country, of our well-being, and a nation that does not prioritize education is a nation that is going to be in decline. And we seem to be a nation in decline because we are not prioritizing education. We have millions of children that are out of school. We have a large percentage of our population that are still illiterates in this 21st century. We have a lot of people that are not even getting quality education because there's a saying, garbage in, garbage out. So education is not just building classrooms. I've said it many times. There's building structures that will help in developing the mind of the people.
What do you mean by garbage in, garbage out? What are you referring to?
Now, when I'm talking about garbage in, garbage out, when you have a broken educational system, you have people that pass through that broken system, and they come out to the broader society, and they're expected to perform, right? And when they come out from a broken educational system, they translate and transmit what they have received, right? They come in contact with a broken educational system, and now they're outside. They're out of the educational system. They are now in the society, and now they are delivering the dividends of the education that they must have acquired. And because they went through a system that did not transform them, rather, they went through a broken system, they come out broken. Now, in respect to, we have good, sound professors, educationists. We have competent people in our country. We have those that are working assiduously to build our educational system. But we also have the bad eggs. Now, I have come across some very sound professors in our universities. I've been taught by some of them, and they have really impacted my life. I appreciate their sacrifice and their service. But the bad eggs are denting the system. Now, we're talking about ASU and the federal government. Negotiations and agreements that have been made over the years to redeem our educational system that is broken. And we must be realistic, and we must tell ourselves the truth that the educational system is broken. But in negotiations, two parties are involved.
Yes.
And the two parties must come together. The two parties must fulfill the agreements. They must work towards actualizing the agreements. The political will is what will cement those negotiations between ASU and the federal government. What does it take to redeem our educational system? What does it take to restructure our educational system? Henry Kissinger said something about leadership that I love so much. He said, leaders have a task to take the people from where they are to where they have not been. In this case, our educational system is suffering. Our educational system is broken. Our educational system needs to be restructuring. It's in need of redemption. We need leaders that will take our educational system from where we are right now to where we have not been, to quality education.
Okay, talking about the educational system now, I know we always make a reference to the agreement between ASU and the federal government. By the way, ASU are talking about going on another strike, and that is not something that we want to see now. I mean, there are lots of reasons that the students in these schools are already going through a lot right now. They are going through financial strain, stress, and all of those things happening around us that the other citizens are also facing. But let's also look at this challenge in the educational sector of, when you mentioned garbage in, garbage out, that was why I asked you what exactly you meant. Because what my mind went to was is this ideology of students reading to pass, right? Now, there's this saying that a lot of students will just read to pass, and then after the exams, they can't even remember what they were taught. So that's why we have these students graduating. And then when you put them in that field, they cannot really perform. Aside the fact that they do not really pay more attention to practicals in these universities. But let's look at these aspects. Do you even see it as a problem, first off? How do you see the reading to pass syndrome among students?
Well, unfortunately, it has become a very bad growth. It has become a bad, something really, really disheartening, I would say. Now, in aspect of cramming, memorizing, there's nothing wrong in memorizing. There are some things there are some theories, there are some laws, there are some principles that you need to memorize. And of course, you need to write an exam, so you need to write it down. But we need to go beyond just reading to pass exams, to reading to know.
Why do you think the students just read to pass instead of reading to know?
The misconception about education. The misconception, the myopic view of education have made many people think that education is just to pass an exam. Life itself is an examination. The world itself is a school. Life itself is a school. So we need to reorientate our students and young people going to school to understand that, see, when we talk about education, we are not just talking about passing your exams. Passing your examination is the first stage. There are many stages, there are many steps you need to climb. And when you build your mindset to understand that education should challenge you every day to grow, to make progress, to learn, to listen, to advance, you see that you discover that you need to read beyond the classroom to go beyond the classroom. In most of my presentations in Educational Summit, I do challenge the students there. Read beyond the classroom if you want to go beyond the classroom. Because the problems affecting the society, they are so broad and so complex. They require something much more than cramming to pass an exam. You're going to face multiple problems and challenges in life that will require something much more than your theoretical knowledge or even your practical knowledge.
Besides the idea that the students have about education, like you mentioned, what about the way we put it? What about the way the society even portrays it? What about the way the teachers themselves lay emphasis on just the marks? Could that be one of the reasons everybody is now, thriving to just pass the exam?
That's why I said earlier, garbage in, garbage out. The teachers are also products of the educational system. And they are replicating what they have learned, right? They are transmitting what they have. If we have an educational system that builds in the child or the student a mindset of going beyond the marks. That's why you assess a student not just by his scores, chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics, economics, and so on and so forth. But you assess the student by how do they respond to some problems. That's why our curriculum, we've talked so much about reforming our curriculum to also focus on problem solving, not just memorization, which is important. Now, memorization is important because you need to understand concepts, and if you're a medical science, a medical doctor, for example, you need to memorize and know some certain things. You need to know it, right? It should be right in you. It should be encapsulated in you. It should be absorbed in you. But there are situations you will face. I'm using doctors, for example. You might not even learn it. You wouldn't have learned it in school. You will have not come across something like that. It now requires you to think outside the box. You could come across some ailments and some diseases or some problems. There are new problems that arises every day. There's new challenges. There's a problem. There's difficulty. there's a crisis. So you need to build your problem solving.
You know, that would be really outside, like outside what we are used to. Because I'm imagining the lecturers now. I'm imagining the lecturers now beginning to, you know, have it just in front of, just getting everybody to focus on something aside just the marks. Because that's how it has been. That's how we saw it growing up. That's how we saw it from all of our institutions, from the primary, secondary, down to the university. That's always been about what are your scores. It almost feels like nobody's looking outside what your scores are. So your scores will define you. So talking about looking at another aspect or taking your mind off it, it will be something new. Do you think it's something that will thrive and something that will be viable with our educational system? How do you get the students to be serious? Because this score has made a lot of students serious.
That's why we need leadership to be taught in our schools, right? Leadership will help to build our students to be problem solvers. We have so many people occupying leadership positions who are not leaders because they've not been taught and they've not learned to develop their leadership skills. Now, in the classroom, beyond the scores, there should be practical problems where teamwork, how the students respond to those problems. They do it in some schools.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you don't do that, because I'm aware we do teamwork a lot in the universities.
Teamwork, I'm talking about teamwork, not just about giving people group assignment to do group presentation. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, so what are you talking about?
I'm talking about taking them out to some problems, real problems. Maybe, for example, my postgraduate studies on conflicts, right? And now you take this group of students to a conflict situation, or you kind of create a conflict situation, and you see how they can respond to resolving those conflicts, right? Now, you practical, that's what I'm talking about. Now, practical response to problem, building their practical response. And you even assess them based on how they respond to the problems and the challenges, right? Now, if, for example, you are trying to teach the students, or you're teaching them leadership, how do they manage their classroom? That is it. You look at them, you assess them. How, you know, when you look at the result, actually, it's not just the scores. We actually have other things, but they don't emphasize, they just tick goods for them.
Exactly.
You see, class organization, punctuality, and so many things. All those other things are also part of leadership, but they don't do it. It is just ceremonially on the result sheet.
How would you, sometimes you even ask, my lecturer or departmental head doesn't even know me. Do you understand? So how was he able to ascertain, or how did he even come up with this cause to rate me in these other aspects when he has no idea about who I am in the class?
When you look at most of our universities, the classrooms are overcrowded, and the ratio between lecturer and students, lecturer-student percentage ratio, it's the students' population so crowded, and there's no real control in the classroom. And if you can't control your class, you're not in control as a teacher or as a lecturer. If you cannot control the class, then you're not a good lecturer or a good teacher. That's one of the things I learned in my during the teacher training I went for. We're taught that class control is very important. Now, most of the lecturers or teachers, they don't even know some of the students that they are teaching. They don't have a knowledge of them because they're very crowded, a crowded situation.
Yes.
And so when you look at our universities, we need to, there's so much reforms that needs to take place in our universities because the classes are overcrowded. The lecturers have to teach over 1,000 students, sometimes 600 students, sometimes without even a public address system.
They would not even hear.
And the students are not even hearing anything. They are in class, but they are not in class. It's just like they're in a marketplace where they're not getting anything. They are not even, they can't tell you one thing that the lecturer is talking about.
Very pathetic situation.
So, what is happening? Now, that is a problem that requires leadership. Build more infrastructure in our educational centers and institutions. Open it up so that you can have a good, enhanced communication flow between the teacher and the student.
What about the practical aspect? Talking about helping the kids, helping the students be creative, right? and then to not just focusing on the maths with the theory, because not everybody is really into, I told you earlier, not everybody is really into theory, writing and all of those things. Some people do really well in practical, don't you think?
If you want to get the students to be efficient and to be effective, or to learn practically, or to harness their practical knowledge and skills, then you have to train the teachers to be practically oriented as well. Not just to focus on theory. Because we have practical problems that require practical solutions, that require practical thinkers, that require practical application of those solutions. So if you just have, it's the teachers you have. They need to be retrained with the modern skills and technology. They need to be trained with the with ICT. They need to be trained to not just be traditional teachers that just want to grade a child, but to be teachers that will inspire the child.
Who will train them now? That's one question, because they've been asking for, you said, up-to-date knowledge. They've been asking for equipment, and if they started at 2009, it simply means that even the equipment they probably have been asking for their various departments might have been outdated by now. So that has not even been met. The agreement on federal has not even been, so who would even get to train them or retrain them, because these teachers are already trained?
Someone is responsible for the educational system. The Ministry of, we have a Ministry of Education, right? And their primary constituency is the educational sector, the teachers. We have the governments across the three levels of government, the federal, the state, and the local government. We have international development partners. So there are people responsible for the education of the Nigerian child. There are those responsible to educate the citizens of this country, the government, the leaders. During campaign, they talk about, give us your votes and we'll educate your child. But they end up educating their own children. They end up educating their own family. They are not interested in the education of the citizens, the masses, the people. And if you don't educate our people, you lose your civilization. If I told you, we shouldn't even talk about civilization in the first place.
Why shouldn't we talk about civilization?
Because we're not yet there. The truth is we're not yet there. We can't say we are civilized. Walk on the street and see the way people react to scenes. Everybody wants to cut corners. When you want to board, people are not patient. See, when we talk about education, you see, you know what? We need to go, we need to sit down and ask ourselves what is really happening to us as a nation. Most of our people, we travel all over the world and we see the educational system. But let's come home. Let's ask ourselves what is happening in our educational system. When we talk about education, let's look beyond the schools. Let's look at our society. How do we behave as a people? That's why I say we shouldn't talk about civilization. We are not yet there.
All right. Let's look at the next story now. Still around, talks around what's going on in Nigeria. Rector of the Federal Polytechnic, Laro, Ogun State, Dr. Mukail Akinde, on Friday, said the institution is planning to have a mini assembly plant for the production of its newly invented electric automated tricycle. Ake also called on the federal government as well as corporate organizations, especially in the manufacturing sector, to help drive the commitment of the Polytechnic to see the commercial production of the invention. The rector says that the success of the commercial production of the tricycle would help a lot to cut importation, reduce the pressure on our foreign exchange, and boost job opportunities for our teeming youths. Akinde disclosed this while speaking when the governing council of the institution, led by its chairman, Alhaji Garba Gashua, and the National Automotive Design and Development Council visited the Innovation Center of the institution to inspect the newly invented electric automated tricycle. The Polytechnic is said to be the first institution to produce this brand of tricycle, built and assembled at the institution's Innovation Center. The rector appealed to the federal government to inject more funds into the institution to back more innovations, research and development. In his words, my expectation now is to see how we can take the tricycle to the industry. Let me also tell you that this is just the prototype. The main design will contain 3 people, the rider and 2 other people at the back. This will go a long way. It will also contain a solar-powered panel that would be charging the tricycle, and that has already been designed. But we're looking for people to partner with, like, different companies here, whoever, that will help them to take the innovation to the industry for commercial production. If we cannot produce this tricycle in commercial quantity, it means that we shall be importing it, and this will pile more pressure on our exchange rate. Now, we have our institutions coming up with innovations like this. Lots of talks have been on about our innovation, our institutions not being practical enough and not being innovative, and even when the students go on to carry out different researches, they are thrown away and not used. So what is your take on this innovation?
This is beautiful. Innovation is the lifeblood of any nation. If you want to develop, you must be innovative. And we should be celebrating this university in Nigeria, coming up with a tricycle that will use renewable energy, solar, with solar panels. Why are we not celebrating it? Should be front page of all the newspapers. The state government, the federal government, we should be celebrating this innovation. We tend to celebrate things coming from outside than what we have inside. You know, if I like to refer to the scriptures, when they said, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Can anything good come out of Nigeria? Yes. We have a university in Nigeria that have just produced a tricycle. And we are still not getting the attention. Nigerians are very active. Even on social media, you see Nigerians everywhere. They are loud people. We speak out. Why are we not getting this attention? Why are we not paying attention to this product? Why are we importing? Do you know how much Nigeria spends importing republic? A tricycle republic. We can produce the tricycle in Nigeria. We're talking about strengthening the naira to compete with other foreign currencies. We're talking about strengthening our economy. We're talking about strengthening our economic output. We're talking about getting more foreign exchange. We're talking about improving the lives of everyday Nigerians. We're talking about creating employment opportunities for the millions of unemployed Nigerians. We're talking about improving our innovative innovation and building us to become a brand.
Like you mentioned, or encouraging innovation. How much have we really seen that happen in Nigeria? We've seen a lot of universities. I made reference to University of Port Harcourt the other time when some students invented, was it a tricycle still? I think was it a Solar's tricycle or something like this? This is something similar. I saw it in the news then. A particular television station carried it, but that was the most that we saw of that particular innovation from those students. We did not hear further, even though at that time I did not do more investigation. Probably if I did, but we have also heard this happen in various institutions. So what do you think is the problem with encouraging research and innovation in Nigeria?
Most of our leaders in government offices, or most of those occupying, I don't like to call them leaders. I like to call leaders to those who can cause a change, who can transform people, who can take people out of, who can lift people out of poverty, you know, who can cause an improvement in the lives of people. Most of them, they don't value innovation. They don't even, it's not a priority to them. We have a lot of talents that are wasting in Nigeria. And the European countries, they are busy, they are opening up their space to get our best brains. You know, we talk so much about brain drain, but we are not talking so much about brain improvements. We're not talking so much about brain supports. Support the brains we have in Nigeria so that they can stay in Nigeria and build Nigeria. They can stay in Nigeria with their innovation and transform Nigeria. They can stay in Nigeria with their ideas and build our society. We cannot be having these brains and yet we are importing these things. You know, when I was shocked, it beats my imagination when I learned that we import even things as common as toothpick, right? And you can't just imagine a country with over 200 million people. Why should we be importing things that we can produce? Of course, no nation is completely self-reliant. Even the United States, they import. But these things that we can produce, why are we importing it? Why do we have a hunger for importation? Why do we have a hunger to import everything? If you go to the house of an average, a typical Nigerian politician, you will find it difficult to see a made in Nigeria product in his house. From his chairs to even his toothbrush, almost everything in his house is imported.
Wine,
right?
Drinks.
Our universities, we have talents. Yes, we have brains. Despite the situation, we need to tap into the brains. We need to harness our potentials. We need to tap into the innovation. We need to stop losing our brains and start developing our brains.
Talking about tapping into it, while you were talking, I was going to mention that, because how much do we really utilize these talents that we have in our universities? So I made mention of buildings being erected in a university, and yet there's a civil engineering department, and then these students are not even involved in this. Nobody's saying they should be the ones to erect the building, but getting them involved, that's like the practical aspect of their course. So these talents come in, but how much do we get to really harness and dig up the potentials that these students have and open up their mind to creativity?
Greed and corruption, the two major causes that is hampering, distorting our innovation in Nigeria. If we can deal with greed and corruption, we have dealt with at least 70 to 80% of the challenges or the hurdles, obstructing our innovation. Now, look at our university campuses. We have a lot of bright minds there. When they travel out of this country on scholarship to other countries in the world, they are among the top. They fly high. They do so well. I have a friend. He was in a Nigerian university, but when he left this country outside to a particular university in an European country, he was among the best in computer and mathematics. And he was doing so well that he was adding value to the society. So we have not come to a point where we are a value-attracting society. Rather, we are a value-displacing society. We displace talents. Now, we have heard so much about internally displaced persons, IDP, and we have them in abundance in Nigeria. We have a lot of them in Nigeria. But we also have what we call value-displaced persons, people that have been displaced. They are valuable, but they have been displaced. They are just like refugees in their own country. Look at these young students. Look at these vibrant students in their university. They have come up with a solar panel, a tricycle that will be competitive. There are many factors, both internal and external factors. External factors from the countries or from some businesses or some companies that are exporting to us. They won't want their product not to be selling again. So they are going to do all they can to lobby to make sure that that innovation dies. Internal factors with those of our leaders and those that are in charge who don't see it as necessary, not because they don't want, it's not good for the society, but if it is not good for their pockets, it's not good for them. We need leaders that will look beyond their pockets and look at the people. It must not be good for your pockets. It must be good for the people.
All right, let's hope that more will be done. They are seeking partnership with the federal government or support from the federal government to make it commercial, to produce in commercial quantity, and that's going to go a long way in even helping our economy as a country, considering where we are at the moment economically. Now let's look at the next story. 20 medical students, still around students now, and one house officer from the University of Maiduguri and the University of Jos that who were kidnapped in Benue State about a week ago have been rescued, according to security sources. The operation was coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor. Security agencies, including the police, DSS, and military personnel and equipment, were involved in the operation supported by the Benue State government. The medical students were kidnapped along the Otukpo-Enugu Federal Highway in Otukpo local government area of Benue State on their way to Enugu State to attend a conference. And this story has been on. There have been calls from various stakeholders to make sure that the police actually rescue these students. And now we have reports that they have been released or they have been rescued. You have them as long as they are out now. They're no longer adopted. But how do you feel, or what do you think about the story?
I'm very excited, and I want to celebrate our security agencies. And security, from the Office of the National Security Advisor, I want to commend them and say thank you for a job well done, rescuing those medical students. Those are the official medical doctors of this country. They will save life. So, whether they are medical students or not, for the fact that they are Nigerians, they should be protected, they should be rescued, and those who are involved in perpetrating and committing these terrible crimes should be brought to they should face the wrath of the law. They should be brought to justice to serve as a deterrent to others, not to involve in such inhumane and terrible crime, I would say. Because why should you kidnap a student? Or why should you kidnap someone for ransom? You shouldn't do that. That is wrong, right? That's a human being, like not even an animal. There's a dignity, a human life. There's dignity to a human life. Human life is dignified. So they should not be dehumanized in such a situation. Imagine what those young medical students would have gone through in the hands of these kidnappers. Some of them will have gone through terrible things that they can't say. So I'm very happy, and I'm commending our security agencies. As analysts, we must commend the good that is done. And we constructively criticize our leaders by offering constructive criticism with solutions, right? But also, when they are doing well, we should give them thumbs up. And I want to say that thank you. We've been
having cases of adoption recently. Looking at the next story now, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Yushua Ahmed, has announced the rescue of a prospective corps member, Solomon Daniel Bassi, who was adopted on August 17, 2023. Bassi was the last of 8 corps members rescued following their kidnap on August 17, 2023 by suspected terrorists on their way to camp in Zamfara State on Monday, August 21, 2023. All the way, August, that means last year. Addressing reporters on Friday, the Director General said all the corps members rescued from Zamfara State would be issued discharge certificates. I mean, it's been a year now. He noted that after all the rescued corps members had gone through the hands of their captors, they could not be mobilized for service, but they'll be given their discharge certificates. The prospective corps members made, this is good news, right? But Dema, we have been having cases of kidnap, killing, adoption, and accidents when corps members are traveling from one state to another, from Akwa Ibom State down to far north. Now, one would want to ask a question like, people have been clamoring for allowing the students or the corps members now to serve around them, instead of having them travel all the way. And sometimes, I remember then when it was really hot in the north, it's still hot. The insecurity is still there, it's still here. It's everywhere in Nigeria. But there are some states where, people already know that we get stories of insecurity often from those states, and yet corps members are sent to those states. And then you have parents saying their kids cannot go there because their lives are at risk. So people calling for different measures. People have been asking, suggesting different things should be done concerning this. But do you see this as a problem?
It is a problem, but I want to look at it from this perspective. While parents are asking or demanding or clamoring for their children or their words to the corps members to serve in their geographical location based on security issues, during the course of the reports, the corps members were kidnapped by hoodlums. So the question is, who becomes a hoodlum? And I don't know if you must have heard about the word hoodlumism and agberoism. So now, the hoodlums we're talking about, right? Because we can talk about short-term goals or short-term measures, restricting these corps members from serving in flashpoints with security issues. But long term, how do we deal with the insecurity in Nigeria, irrespective of the geographical location or the zone, across board? how do we deal with insecurity? Because beyond kidnapping, beyond terrorism, beyond these herdsmen, farmers clashes, beyond the inter-ethnic tensions, how do we deal with insecurity across board so that we can have a safer society for all? Whether you're from the north, or you're from the south, or you're from the east, or you're from the west, wherever you are from, how do we make Nigeria safer? That brings out, or that unearths, an important question: who becomes a hoodlum? Who becomes a hoodlum is that child that you see on the street that you fail to educate. Because the people who kidnap, they are human beings, right? They are people living in this country. And every day we keep hearing news reports about kidnapping. The question I ask myself is, who are those involved in these crimes? Are they falling from the sky? Are they coming from another planet?
So who do you think they are?
They are referred to as hoodlums. Now the question is, who becomes a hoodlum? How do we stop, how do we reduce the percentage, or how do we reduce the population of these hoodlums and criminal elements in our society? That opens a chapter of education. Right, education. Who becomes a hoodlum is that child that is wandering the streets that you fail to educate. Who becomes a hoodlum is that child that you have kept in abject poverty, mental poverty, and you have left that child in a state of abuse. That becomes a factory where these hoodlums were produced. And when they are brought out, when they are released to the society, they begin to cause all kinds of social problems, social ills. They become social misfits because they have been neglected, abused, and their attention have not been given to them. And I will tell you, we have millions of out-of-school children in Nigeria. That is a security threat.
And now a child goes to school, for the ones who went to school, right? And now they're done with school. And then you send them to those areas for youth service. And it's compulsory.
A child goes to school.
You know, that is one issue that is on right now for discussion in Nigeria. And that's what I'm trying to find out. If you actually see that as a problem.
If those people are not attended to, that's even going to be a more terrible situation. Do you know that many areas, many communities in Nigeria, they don't have enough manpower, even teachers in their classrooms? If not for core members, I served in the northeast, in the northeastern Nigeria, Taraba State to be precise. And there are many communities that schools, especially in the rural areas, where there's not so much attention given to them. It is the core members that go to those places and create changes.
Nobody is saying
but
don't send
I get your
members.
point in terms of the security of those core members,
Are
which is
they not,
important.
listen, they are schools in those areas, right? In those regions. There are universities, polytechnics, and the likes. So there are core members coming from those regions. But the idea of sending a core member from one region to a very far region where there might be crisis and all of those things. What about just as far as the crisis? Now there are various other things and other reasons. Even though the government have mentioned that they need, it's one form of bringing about unity to have one person go to the other end of the country and get to find out how they live there, and that will actually help bringing all these people together. What about just one of the recommendations that people have suggested because of the issues we see when core members are exposed to all of these things, traveling down to another area? Sometimes they're not even going to the crime zone, but they are passing through it. Okay, if you look at that now, that story, they were even the medical students that were adopted, they were passing through that state, and that happened. So people are saying, what about just having them serve within the zone? or having them just serve around instead of allowing them to go all the way? Do you see that recommendation as, first of all, do you see that problem highlighted as a problem at all? And do you see the recommendation as something that could be viable?
I see it as a problem because we continuously hear reports of core members that are kidnapped, and some of them lose their lives because they are exposed to the risk of traveling to flashpoints and areas with security threats. It is the responsibility of the NYSC and the security agencies to ensure that core members who are traveling to such areas are protected. If they can't provide them protection or security, they shouldn't send them to those areas. No parent wants to see his child kidnapped, or after spending 4 years or more in the university, no parent wants to see his child wasted in the cause of serving his country. We are to be alive to serve. So that's a valid point that people are making. We have to protect the core members or provide security for them. We have expatriates that come to Nigeria and they have armed security following them everywhere. I'm not against it. It's important we protect them because of the security situation. But in Nigeria, we value outsiders even more than ourselves. That's why I made reference to the Bible portion that said, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Can anything good come out of Nigeria? We don't believe in ourselves in Nigeria. We don't love ourselves. We don't value ourselves. The life of every Nigerian citizen should be treated with value, whether he is rich or poor, irrespective of his religion or tribe or ethnicity or language, anything. For the fact that he is a Nigerian, let's learn from the United States of America. After all, we are copying their type of government, federal system of government. An American citizen's life is very important to the American government. If an American citizen is at risk in any part of the world, the US government don't mind sending their forces, their special forces, to go and rescue that citizen. They value the citizens, the life of the citizens of their country. In Nigeria, every day we keep listening to reports, 50 people have been killed, this one has been kidnapped. Those in charge, how many people are resigning? Are resigning from their positions because they have failed. That's why I say leadership is taking people from where they are to where they have not been.
But do you think it will end in? I don't think from your analysis I heard you mention letting them serve in the region.
That's why I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say is that for them to serve in the region will defeat the goals of what the NYSC stands for, which is to enhance or to build national unity, cohesion, bring people together, to promote peace, to make people to learn across cultures, to build this togetherness in the country. So if they serve in their region, what's the goal of NYSC? Just make it a state youth service scheme. When you finish, you serve in your states.
Is that not better?
Well, if you do that, you will have defeated
the people, the students or the core members who are traveling and then lose their lives. Is that not defeating? How are they going to, how does that improve unity when they're already gone?
Well, if you look at it just on that ground, people will also tell you that their core members serving in their state, they also lose their life because there are security challenges even in their own state.
Of course.
Right? There's no state in Nigeria that will not point out one security problem or the other.
But then you cannot compare it to students or core members traveling. You know how the roads can be. So you cannot compare it. Not every core member would be able to take flight, to fly down to where they're going. Some of them will have to pass through the road. And you see cases like this.
That's why I talked about dealing with the problems, both short-term and long-term, and look at the root causes. I talked about who becomes a hoodlum.
So what do you think would be the solution, the short-term solution, like you said?
Number one, provide security for core members who are traveling to flashpoints. they should have left some form of security. Number two, there should be a kind of an insurance package or some kind of fund set aside for those who, in the course of serving the nation, lose their life or are injured or get injured. There should be some benefits for their family, just as it is done for some military personnel in some countries. For the fact that you're serving your country and you get injured or you lose your life, like an insurance. So there should be insurance for corps members, because this is a national service. They are serving the country with their talent, their time, their resources, everything. These are short-term strategies.
Okay, let's look at the first one you mentioned about getting security for the corps members who are traveling. Now, I want us to look at how viable that can be. Is it possible? Of course it is. But how viable is it? We've talked about our security agencies. We've mentioned manpower. People to security agencies ratio is doesn't meet world standard or even the continent standard. Let's start from there. So how many security agencies do we even have available to start escorting corps members? How many corps members are usually deployed to different states? Now, escorting all this, I don't know how many corps members are usually deployed to their states. Most of the corps members are moved to different states. So having security, how many security agencies do we even have available to start escorting corps members to the various states that they're traveling to? So how viable is this going to be?
It's not necessary that you must carry vans or security personnel to be escorting all the corps members. It's not what I'm talking about. We are in the 21st century. You don't necessarily need to carry a large deployment of troops around. But let's look at it. If we have security personnel providing security for expatriates, you bring them, they come from other countries, and they have, everywhere they go, they have the security personnel. You have a politician, he has so much security personnel. Check some of those security personnel protecting all the VIPs. Cut the percentage into half. Let them protect the citizens too, right? They are there to protect the citizens, not just politicians.
You know, we're not just talking about the citizens.
Now, I understand.
We're talking about corps members.
These are corps members, specifically. Yes. Specifically, we're talking about corps members. They need security, not necessarily that they need to have vans of security. There's technology. You can track their movements. There are technological tools you can use to provide security for corps members.
So do we have those technological tools as now? How advanced is our security when it has to do with technology and intelligence gathering?
If we don't have it, we can. I think we are importing a lot of things. This is one of the things we should be importing. If we don't have the technological tool for security purposes or for security, we can import it. After all, we're importing practically almost everything we are using, we're importing it. So we should import it. Or we can develop it. We have brilliant security officials in Nigeria, sound people.
So is that going to be a short-term plan anymore? Because by the time you start talking about advancement in technology, let's start putting all of those things together, then that means we'd have to wait till that is done before we get to start protecting this corps. So that's no longer a short-term solution.
I don't think it's a long-term thing. They already have a technological tech in our security agencies. They use tech, especially the intelligence agencies. So they have the platform. They can just build on it. And everything is a process. Rome was not built in a day, but it took a day to start to build Rome. So they can just put in place that process. And also, short term, if it becomes really, really serious, they can allow these corps members serve in their states if they cannot provide short-term security cover for them to reduce the loss of lives, right? Long-term, we need to sit down and look at the broader security challenges Nigeria is facing. We are talking about hoodlums, out-of-school children, and those that are vulnerable, that are potential recruits for these criminal elements, because criminality is a network and it's an organization, and in every organization there is funding, there is recruitment, there is training. No one wakes up in the no one just wakes up and go and kidnap someone. They plan it, right? They brainstorm. They think. It's not so easy. You just wake up and you go and kidnap someone, because they settle them somewhere. They keep them somewhere. So it's a network. So how do you curtail or stop more networks, more criminal elements from rising? Social justice comes into question, and then education.
All right, more should be done. We should see more being done. We don't want to get more cases of adoption, kidnap, insecurity, killings here and there. As regards insecurity or security in Nigeria, we expect more to be done. In fact, the next story we're talking about is referring to what the president has said concerning insecurity in Nigeria. But we'll take that story right after this break. We'll go on a very short break, and after some minutes we'll be back and we'll delve straight to it. Please stay with us. It's always good to know that you're still with us. Let's delve straight to the next story. I told you we'll talk about the security measures that have been discussed by the president. Now, President Bola Tinubu has charged the participants of the National Defense College course 32 to be vigilant and proactive in addressing the myriad of regional and global threats. Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, made the call at the graduation of the participants on Friday in Abuja, and he said that the college had adequately equipped the participants with the requisite knowledge and strategies and charged them to rise to the occasion in addressing the prevailing national security challenges. As the current chair of ECOWAS, we will do all necessary to strengthen ties and resolve present negations within the community. The president commended the college for sustaining excellence, courage, patriotism, and intelligence, pledging to ensure adequate support for the institution to move to its permanent site as soon as possible. He also acknowledged the exceptional service and dedication of the members of the armed forces in protecting the lives and properties of Nigerians. Okay. And safeguarding, yes, the life and properties of Nigerians. And in his words, we are committed to creating an enabling business environment that encourages value addition in our mining sector. Yes, this is on security and education at the same time with the graduating students, and the president talking about the knowledge, the requisite knowledge that have already been invested and impacted in these students.
Beautiful. Congratulations to those who just graduated from the Defense College. They've been trained to respond to the security challenges that we are facing today. They are enormous, they are much, but nothing is, there's no mountain that we cannot surmount as a nation. If we work together and if we understand the problems and address the problems. If you don't understand the problem, you cannot address the problem. If you don't understand the security challenges, you cannot address the security challenges. So Nigeria plays a strategic role in ECOWAS and also in Africa and in the world. We are yet to fully attain our potential. We are yet to fully become the voice for Africans, for Africa, and for African development and security. Why? Because right here, we are faced with so many security challenges, and the response is not so much compared to the vast security challenges littered across the country.
What is our problem with the response and proactivity?
We have not addressed the underlying causes. One of it is social injustice, right? If we address social injustice, we will reduce the security problems to the barest minimum. But until we address social injustice, hunger, poverty,
these two things.
So are you channeling or connecting hunger and poverty with the security in Nigeria?
Yes.
How? Tell
A
us what
hungry
the
man is an angry man. And take a look at statistics. Take a look at the statistics of those who are involved in crimes. Even in our neighborhood, some people are stealing people's pot of soup. People are going to people's houses to steal food.
But how do you also connect hunger and poverty to the security agency's proactiveness? That's proactivity.
The security policy we have as a country should place social injustice as a top security threat. Social injustice. And that will involve partnership, because security is like an umbrella. The government, the security agencies, the citizens, all of us, we are under that umbrella. And when we talk about hunger, poverty, and crimes, criminally poverty-induced criminality. There are so much. Now, let's look at the issue of our tech space. Young people. A lot of our young people are involved in what is popularly known as Yahoo, cyber crimes, for them to survive. I'm not encouraging it, because I'm a young person. Why am I not a cyber criminal? Don't I want to make money and drive Benz? No, because I believe that diligence and hard work is the way to go. It's a long road, but I'd rather walk that long road to the right destination than follow the shortcuts and end up being cut short. So when you look at poverty and hunger, malnutrition, and these are social paparazzi kind of life where we glorify materialism to the point that a young boy of 22, 23 years is driving an expensive car and living in a big house, and the people in that community will not ask questions, or even they will encourage him, go and do as other young people are doing. So there's a lot of young people, there are more young people that want to involve in crime. That's just the way out they think.
We really need, I've realized in our society that we need more mentors. We need more people that these young people would look up to. We need more people, not just in society, but more people in their lives. Because it looks like a lot of the people in their lives for them to look up to while growing up are already doing the wrong thing. So it's more like they're looking up to the wrong person. And as they're coming up, they're looking forward to being that person. And then at the end of the day, we have a replication of the negatives in our society.
That's because many of the role models that many young people are looking up to are the wrong ones. They include politicians who are stealing and involved in corruption. They include cyber criminals, aka Yahoo boys. They include ritualists and kidnappers who get chieftaincy titles after their kidnapping, and some of them go and even do Thanksgiving to be, I don't know what they are thanking or who they are thanking at the end after successfully, in quotes, carrying out their kidnap activity. So who are the role models?
You know, let's look at the next story now. When as long as this is concerned, it's still talking about, this is making reference to the federal government unveiling new policies and guidelines for road construction. The Federal Ministry of Works has introduced new policies aimed at transforming the road construction in Nigeria. And the policies unveiled by the Ministry of Works, Senator David Umahi, are designed to address the poor pace of work and improve the service life of federal roads. According to the policy document that was shared with journalists by the Special Advisor to the Minister on Media, Uchenna Oji, on Friday, the new policies include the introduction of rigid pavement, reduction of claims for variety of price by contractors, removal of consumer price index from contracts, and introduction of uniform pricing, right, in each zone, uniform pricing in each zone. And other policies introduced by the ministry include enhanced supervision of ongoing projects, which has been one big problem we've had, introduction of whistleblowing on bad jobs, prioritization of projects within economic corridors, and completion of one carriageway before commencing the second carriageway for dualized projects. Now, there are many more, but let's look at these ones that have been mentioned now. He has mentioned whistleblowing. He has mentioned supervision for completion of these projects. Some of the projects are left abandoned and not completed. And this begs the question, where are the supervisors? Where are the people who are supposed to make sure that these contractors carry out this project?
There is a proverb that states that the fish, it starts to rot from the head. That is, the rottenness starts from the head. All these policies the minister have laid out, they are all beautiful.
Are they viable?
They are also viable. But the head, before you talk about the branches, is the corruption that I have not seen him really emphasize on. When you award a road contract to a company or to a constructing company or construction company, most of the public officials, they have inner room meetings where bags are exchanged, transactions take place. So they take their share. So how will you supervise a firm that, or a company that you have already taken your share? Them too, they want to take their share, so they will not efficiently or effectively ensure that standards, the right standards are implemented, the procedures to building quality roads. Not you're building a road or you're constructing a road. I mean, that's the right word. You're constructing a road and you are following standards, but they will not want to follow standards because they also want to maximize.
Don't you think that's why he also came up with the whistleblowing strategy, where people can report badly done projects?
The problem is the whistle blowing. Who will blow the whistle?
The people in the area.
For whom? If the whistleblower is blowing and the head is corrupt, who will you blow the whistle? Who will you be blowing it to? Where are you going to blow the whistle? In fact, who will give you the whistle to blow? The system is not that you can easily blow whistle. Because the person you're reporting to might be the person in charge of the sharing formula. So are you going to implicate him or indict him? So that's why I refer to the proverb that I talked about, that when the fish starts to rot, it starts from the head. So if we want to reform our road construction in Nigeria and ensure standards and the right procedures and ensure quality and ensure that the right things are done or the right things take place, we must take off corruption. We must, as the minister has said, there should be supervision, there should be monitoring, there should be feedback, there should be feedback also from the recipients of that project, the community. There should be...
That's the whistleblowing.
Yeah, apart from the whistleblowing, the community should be giving their feedback. For example,
on the progress
of the roads.
Okay.
For example, you are constructing a road through my village, and the people in the village, there should be a partnership. They should be giving feedback. Oh, this is our scorecard. We are happy with the construction. This is how it has improved our life. That feedback should be given to the government and also to the public. Not feedback from few persons that you have paid money to come and sing your praises, and they will come and say all kind of good things about you just because you are giving them peanuts. No.
All right. They said that the ministry has also engaged with the Ministry of Steel Development for the revitalization of their Jalkuta Steel Company, established the Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund, and commenced the second phase of the Highway Development Management Initiative. These policies, according to the ministry, are designed to ensure value for money spent on projects, improve the quality of the roads, and enhance economic growth. The minister stated that the policies are part of the Renewed Hope Road Construction Revolution agenda aimed at making a difference in the road sector under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. The ministry urged stakeholders to read the policies and view the video of the systematic and strategic actions that have made a difference on the road. The ministry has come up with these new policies to mitigate poor pace of work and improve the service level of federal roads. Like you have said, we actually hope that this would, even as we believe is viable, will be done, okay, and follow through, and then the result will be seen if that is done. All right, we've had too many cases of abandoned road projects in Nigeria, too many cases. In fact, when people think about these days, when people think about the NDDC, they think about abandoned projects. Even though it looks like, I don't know if the NDDC are trying to change that narrative, but it would be beautiful if they do. But we have another story talking about the president. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has pledged to utilize his constitutional powers to ensure that the Nigerian military is well resourced and fit for purpose. prioritizing national security and the protection of the citizens. He acknowledged the importance of strategic leadership in addressing the complex security and development challenges confronting Nigeria. President Tinubu made the vow on Friday during the graduation ceremony of the course 32 students. The same ceremony was when he talked about funding the military and providing enough funding to make sure that the military can carry out their duties effectively.
We've heard that a lot of times, haven't we? This is not the first time we're hearing it. This is not the first time we're hearing it. It's not the first president who have said it. I hope that he walks the talk. Walking the talk is more important than just talking. The military needs funding. They need support to protect the lives of Nigerians. It is pathetic when you see what happens to what is happening to some of our soldiers, their families. If you want to get the heart of a man, take care of his family. Love his family. Respect his family. Cherish his family. That's a responsible man that understands the importance of family. Some men are not. In the same vein, some of our soldiers, when they lose their life or when they die in the course of service, some of their families, the way they are taken care of, some of them are moved out of the barracks. There are so many reports. There should be funding for the education of the children of our soldiers. They are out there risking their lives, protecting the citizens of this country. They have children, for goodness sake. Some of their children don't even have scholarships. Some of their wives, they have children, they have wives, their family. Once they die, they put them off the barracks so that other soldiers can take over. Maybe because they don't have, to be fair, maybe because they don't have enough accommodation to accommodate all of them. These are areas of funding. Education. Educate the children of our military personnel. Provide scholarship opportunities for them.
We would have to do actual research to find out if they actually chase these people out of the barracks once they lose their life.
No, some of them. We've heard reports. It's on the news. We've heard reports of some of their families that are taking. Let me not say they are chased. They say they are asked to leave, to provide space for others. Now, what I'm saying is that when we're talking about funding of our military soldiers, they should provide funding for accommodation for families that lose soldiers, that their family, those ones that lose their life in the course of serving, their families, they should make sure that they take care of them. They should provide scholarship opportunities for their children, both those serving and those that have lost their lives. Like, do you know how joyful it will be that you are serving the country and you are sure that your child is going to school and he has scholarship opportunity? These are areas that they need funding. They should provide insurance cover for these soldiers, especially the ones that are at flashpoints, fighting terrorists. There should be insurance cover. There should be improvements in their pay. Their paycheck. There should be improvements. They should be well paid. They should be paid as people that are protecting the citizens of this country.
How interested would you say this administration is in the welfare of security agents?
I can't measure their interest, but what I can say is that a lot more needs to be done for our soldiers. See, I respect every soldier I see because they are sacrificing their blood, sweat, and tears for this country, Nigeria. We can talk about 1,001 problems in Nigeria. Imagine that we don't have security agencies. They are bad eggs, but we cannot celebrate those. Look at the rescue of the medical students by our security personnel that were kidnapped. We should commend them. We should celebrate them. We should appreciate them. I have seen soldiers. I've interacted with some of them. There are good people among them that love this country and are willing to die for this country. But Nigeria should prove to them that they also love them and are also willing to do anything to protect them and their families.
So that we don't start hearing of brain drain in the security agency.
It's not about even brain drain. There's apathy. Many people don't want to join. They don't want to enlist or enroll in our military. Why? Because when they see the treatment most of them are getting, they don't want to join. But I think it's a noble field. Look at the United States Army, for example. Many U.S. citizens are fighting. They are working so hard to be called a U.S. soldier. That joy and pride of serving your nation, of defending your nation, of working for your nation. That's what we want to see in Nigeria today.
So if we have a lot of people who want to join the army and then because of one reason or the other, probably the welfare of the army or yes, the army now, they don't want to get involved anymore. That means we also have people, because I've heard reports, not just the army now, the security agencies in general. We have a lot of people getting involved because of the money involved. Now, some of them do not really have interest, but because of unemployment, they decide to get involved. For instance, they have an uncle or they know someone who could help them get their names, included in the recruitment list, and that's it. That's how they find themselves there.
For the fact that you find yourself there, you're there to serve the country. You're there to protect the lives and property of the citizens of Nigeria. It's a call to serve. The problem is we need to start treating our soldiers right. We need to start treating not just the army, the soldiers, the entire of our security agencies. We need to pay attention to them. The bad eggs, we should take them off and allow those who want to serve. Allow those who want to work. Let us bring this country back to the days when Nigeria was a voice in Africa. Like, this country is so blessed. We should be progressing as a country, right? We should be advancing. Nigerian soldiers, peacekeepers, we have taken peace to other nations of the world.
True.
Through the UN peacekeeping mission.
A lot of nations, would want to call Nigeria.
During the civil war in Liberia, it was Nigerian army, the Nigerian soldiers, that went there to make a difference. In Syria alone, Nigerian soldiers, they fought. They gave their blood, sweat, and tears to restore democracy and peace in that country. In Liberia, in many troubled parts of the world, it was once they hear that the Nigerian soldiers, the Nigerian army are coming, they are happy. They have a sense of national pride. It's that same Nigerian army. If you give them the right funding, if you equip them, if you train them, if you take off the bad eggs, they will restore peace and security in this country.
All right, Deva, let's look at the Senate, what the statement from the wife of the president, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the wife of Nigeria's president, has described petty traders as a critical segment of the local economy. And Tinubu, she made the statement during an empowerment program for 1,000 Naira female petty traders in Uyo, represented by Senator Akon Eyakeyin, the Akwa Ibom deputy governor. Tinubu said that the initiative was being implemented under the economic recapitalization or recapitulation program of the current administration. And she said that the economic empowerment remained a cardinal objective of the Renewed Hope agenda, and that each petty trader captured in the program would receive 50,000 Naira. And she said, endeavor to use the fund to boost your businesses. You are the heart of the local economy. We hope to capture more women in the program as we progress. Speaking on behalf of the beneficiaries, Mercy Udo commended the president's wife for finding them worthy of receiving the money. We pledge to make good use of the money by investing money in our businesses. It will expand our businesses and put more food on the table, she said. Now, this story, what we should be looking at with this story is going beyond politics now, or going beyond giving these women this money. It's the idea of her saying that these petty traders, you know, they have a segment and they go a long way in advancing Nigeria's economy. But how much attention so far have been paid or played on these petty traders and the challenges that they face and helping them come out of it?
I think we need to even stop calling them petty traders to special traders, because they're critical to our economic growth and developments. Now, when we talk about economic empowerment, it's not just giving 1,000 women 50,000 naira each, or 50,000 naira each. Can 50,000 naira buy them a bag of rice? Today's Nigeria, with the inflation, with the economic nightmare, and if it's not even nightmares, daytime. Economic empowerment should go. We should go beyond sharing 50,000 naira to women.
Sharing bags of rice.
And sharing bags of rice. Just make energy affordable. Improve on the security. Improve on public infrastructure. If you want to support them with grants, like if out of millions of people, you gave 1,000 people 50,000 naira and we're going to clap for you. Out of millions of traders, you cannot take care of everyone. You cannot take care of everybody. You cannot feed all the whole 200 million, more than 200 million Nigerians. You can't feed all of them. No government can feed all the more than 200 million Nigerian citizens. Nobody is asking for the government to feed. They are not asking for the government to feed us. We are asking for the government to do the job of the government, which is provide basic infrastructure, security, education, health, allow small businesses to grow, stop double taxation. Most of these small businesses, they are taxed to death. Most of them don't survive more than 2 years. They don't even stay up to a year. They die. Why? Over taxation. You have multiple taxation. People come from the local council, they come from this union, they come from that. That woman who is just selling oranges on the street, you have taxed all her profits. Agboro is collecting, hoodlum is collecting, government official is collecting, tax force is collecting, this one is collecting, state government tax is collecting. How do you want the woman to survive? How do you want her to feed her children at home? How do you want her to educate her children?
You know, that's one area that should be looked at. I believe that if the government wants to help a set of people in the country, they should ask their representatives what exactly these people want. I don't think the people would, the first thing they might mention, okay, we don't know. They might mention money. But if you speak to their representatives, you find out that, like what you have said about double taxation. And double taxation, that's just talking about twice. These people are facing multiple taxation. And sometimes, we heard the other time in the news when they had to cry out, and sometimes they have to pay even when they have not sold anything. Sometimes they give out more than they even sell as their profit to these guys who come in to take the monies in the name of taxation. So there are some policies that could be put in place that would help these traders, like you call them, or like you like to call them, special traders, that would help advance their businesses. But why do you think when we talk about helping Nigerians and, you know, helping Nigerians, the first thing some of our leaders want to think of is giving palliatives and funds?
Most of the leaders, they don't listen. And most of our leaders, they don't engage with the people. And one of the qualities of leadership is listening. You talk about asking their representatives what they need, or what they want, or their peculiar challenges. But even when they tell them, will they listen? They like to flash, they like to bring all these elephant projects, white elephant projects, because they don't really, that's just what they want to use for their own self-interest. Oh, I empower 1,000 women, I empower 10. It's beautiful. I'm not saying what the First Lady is doing is not beautiful. Very good job she is doing. But there are millions of women. It's not just 1,000 women. And if you want to address the problems of these women, these mothers, to look at the challenges, the major problems they are facing, and one of it is multiple taxation. You can use your office as office of the First Lady to work with the wives of the governors and other government officials to see how, even through the National Assembly, so that bills and laws can be signed that will reduce double and multiple taxation that is stifling and strangling small businesses from surviving. They can't survive. They can't breathe. They need hope so that you can renew their hope. They need hope. You have to give a man hope. They are drowning. Many businesses are drowning. Drowning because there is no oxygen. Drowning because they've been overtaxed, right? They can't take care of their home, their families. The small thing that they are selling, they've been overtaxed. So instead of giving them 50,000 naira that cannot buy them a bag of rice, please cut down the overtaxation and multiple taxation and create the enabling environment for these small businesses to grow.
Talking about enabling environment, I would like us to go there because that would also highlight some of the challenges that these business owners face. Besides the ones that we have been called petty traders, we still have small business owners that also face challenges.
One of the major challenges facing businesses, whether small, medium, large, whatever you want to classify, anyhow you want to classify them, is that power, the cost of energy. Now, if fuel is almost 1,000 naira, so people are even selling more than 1,000 naira in the black market for a liter. Imagine that you have a business, let's say for example a barbing salon. You know how much you spend on fuel per day? You have to maintain your equipment, your machinery. If you are employing, if you have staff working under you, you have to pay them their salaries. So, how can you survive, right? These things are not rocket science for our leaders. They have a lot of advisors. They can listen to this free advice that we're giving
can we
to
really
help their business. To help.
Electricity has been a problem in Nigeria for a long time. In fact, since we can ever remember. We have had issues of electricity in various aspects of Nigeria, various areas in Nigeria. When you think about Nigeria, in fact, there was a time that a particular country we're bantering words with on social media called us the Generator Republic. Now, do you actually think that this problem can be solved? Can we provide electricity in the whole of Nigeria?
The question is, are other African countries providing electricity? Constant, reliable power supply? If they are they bigger than us? Do they have more human resources than us? Do they have more natural resources than us? Do they have more brains than us? Do they have more natural resources? Wind? We have wind. It's a natural resource. We have solar, sun, which we can tap into solar energy, renewable energy. I'm even going far. We have crude oil. We could have gas turbines. Look at countries like Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana, all these countries that are smaller. So what do you think
is the problem with our electricity?
The problem with our electricity is lack of leadership.
Administration in and administration out?
Lack of leadership across board. We have what it takes to provide reliable, constant power supply for the citizens of Nigeria, but we don't have the leadership yet.
We have had various leaders. That's what I'm helping you understand.
We have.
So there have not been anybody who has seen electricity as a priority.
They've not seen it as a priority.
Or
they
could
have
it be a
tried
deficiency, something that we probably do not have, and that's probably why we've not been able to provide constant electricity.
The truth of the matter is leadership. Because even if you don't have the resources, even if you don't have the financing, when you have the right leadership, they will make sure that they put those things in place. Right? The truth of the matter is leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. When we get our leadership right, we don't need to be disturbing God with our prayers. Imagine if God can talk to us, it's like, you guys are disturbing me. Because I always make these statements and reference, even in the Bible, if you're a Christian or a Muslim, whatever you are, but if you go to the scripture, the Bible says, God said, let there be lights. Why is it that in Nigeria we don't like following what God said? and there was light. But in Nigeria, we are not seeing the
light. A lot
light.
of Nigerians are confused, having in mind that we provide electricity from some neighboring countries. So how can a country that is providing electricity for another country not have constant power?
There are external and internal forces and factors that is responsible for our darkness. They derive joy in we being in the dark, right? There are those that are exporting generators. You think they'll be happy to see constant power supply, and there are those who are benefiting. They like to be referred to as a generator republic, not a country that can generate power. Look at all our rivers. There's so much we can do. Sometimes it beats my mind talking about the power situation in Nigeria. But until we get power rights, it will even impact our security. You know, many crimes take place in the dark. Yes, at night. Criminals, they like hideouts. When you light up Nigeria. In fact, if you want to renew hope, light up Nigeria. Give Nigerians light, and you are giving them hope. And when you are giving them that hope, you now renew their hope. That's just the summary.
Light up Nigeria.
Light up Nigeria. Light up Nigeria for Nigerians. Tap into hydropower. We have dams. Tap into solar energy. Use our gas that is in enormous, abundant quantity. Generate more power. Do you know that even most of the power that we're enjoying today were projects that were done decades, like the dams in Niger State, Kainji Dam, and so on and so forth? How many dams are we building? Are we maintaining? Apart from the dams, what about solar?
You know, that brings to mind solar, since you already mentioned that there's so much that we can harness from that particular. Have you tried to import it? You know, people like to import. When you want to buy solar now, when you want to use solar at home, solar panel at home, you find out it's very expensive. And this is a country that people have said, this is a country that has sun. What is going on?
That's where the government can help in subsidy. It can help to subsidize the cost of this because we import it.
What happened to producing it here? That's what I'm talking about.
We have not come to, I don't think we're at the stage where we can start producing it
here
because we have to put, do we have the infrastructure? How many of our universities have the infrastructure to train people on the production of solar panels?
And what is wrong with getting that in place?
Leadership. If we have the right leadership, they will start putting those infrastructure in place.
You can say that we've not gotten there yet. What do we need to get there? I mean, this is the 21st century. First off, and Nigeria is not a baby country. And Nigeria, looking at our economy, now we are rich, we are blessed. Not just in natural resources. You know, we've talked about this before. In human resources, we are blessed. We have very smart and intelligent minds. We just talked about a polytechnic that produced a tricycle that uses solar.
When you have the right leadership, they're going to tap into all the resources that we have. And they're going to make sure that our electricity situation is changed. You see, leaders, they transform dark situations to light, not because they have all the answers, but they ask the right questions. Nigeria can get it right. We will get it right if we get the right leadership.
You see, you have channeled almost all the problems discussed to leadership.
Exactly.
Now. So how do we get it right in our leadership?
For us to get it right, we can even start today. Those that are in offices occupying leadership positions, they should sit down and ask themselves one question. President J.F. Kennedy of the United States of America said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. If you are a governor, ask not what you can take from the states, but ask what you can do for the state. If you are the president, ask not what Nigeria can give to you. Ask what you can give to Nigeria. If you are a local government chairman, ask not what the local council can give to you. Ask what you can give to the local council. If you are a citizen, ask what you can give to Nigeria. As we are sitting here, we are giving to Nigeria our skills, our talents, our intellect, the resources that we have. We are transmitting it, the knowledge, a message of hope. That is what will build this country. So that is what is going to make us become better leaders for Nigeria, for our children, and those coming after us.
So, because when we talk about leadership in Nigeria and the system not being so, needing sanity, because some people are saying, oh, we need to sanitize the system. One would ask where we need to start from. One would ask what sector do we even start from? Which of the agencies do we start with? Because when you talk about almost all the agencies in Nigeria, people will tell you the system is bad. And then we had some analysts who said earlier that the system does not even allow for the right leaders to come into power.
Let's start investing in our children. Let's start investing in our children. Let's start raising the children of a new Nigeria. Yes. Let's start investing in the children of Nigeria. Most of the things that we dream about, the promised land that we think or we believe or we are just trying to picture, some Nigerians might not see it, but their children will. So why not invest in the children? Some people are in their 60s, in their 70s. What year are you waiting for Nigeria to get better?
That's a big question. Before you
Is
talk
it when
about
you get to 90 years?
Before you even talk about the children getting there, what about the youths now? What about we that are here at the moment?
I'm not going to neglect the youths, but at least start with the children.
From the
children. No, we're not giving up.
Are we giving up on sanitizing the system now, and we're waiting for those younger ones to come up?
No. By starting with the children, you're sanitizing the system now. Then you move from the children to the youths, from the youths to the adults. Why? Because we'll pass the torch, the baton to them. So by the time you pass the baton to them, they have already grown with a mentality of transformation, of doing things rightly. They have already grown with a mentality that if I'm in a government position, or if I'm in a leadership position, or wherever I find myself, I'm there to make a difference. You are not there to carry title, to just answer the name. If there is no difference where you are, if you're not creating change where you are, you're not a leader. Leadership is creating change. And that's why if we start teaching our children now, even in the house, when things get bad or when things go wrong, they will start practicalizing it. Then we move to the youths and then to the adults.
One would even ask who wants to pass this down. Is it the same people who are not getting it right now that want to then pass a different knowledge to the children?
They can get it right. We are responsible to making the right decisions for ourselves.
All right, Dema Emmanuel George, we appreciate your conversation or your analysis on the show today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Big thanks to you for being a part of this conversation. We appreciate your time also. But this is where we get to wrap things up on this episode of ATN Sunday. Remember that we are open for advert placement, bookings and commercials. And you can connect with us on all of our socials on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok at Atlantic TV Network 1, on X at Atlantic TV Net, and watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you once again for watching. My name is Enidoye Jackson. Coming up next is Open Air. Please stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.